All right, we're rolling live on Facebook. We'll give it a second here real quick. What city? Thank you, Rooftop Angels. No, I am located in just outside Chicago. I've got a special guest joining me from LA, right?
Yes.
I'm jealous that I'm not out there too, but alas.
Huh.
Chryanthe.
I'm sorry. I'm going to put you on silent on Instagram.
Right. I'm going to add you to the conversation here. We'll get this going. Add. Oh shit! I'm from Rockford too. That's cool.
That's random.
I love it. Anyways, all right. So we're getting everything set up here. We got Chryanthe joining me over on Instagram and on Facebook. Turning the volume down.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, okay. Hello, everybody. All right.
Oh wow! It tells my Instagram friends when I'm live too. It's perfect.
Yeah. See. Oh man. So welcome everybody to. Hopefully you guys are having an amazing Tuesday. Anyways, this is episode number 2 of the Open Heart Collective live video series, and I am honored that my guest this evening is none other than the wonderful, the amazing Chryanthe Tan. I've been looking forward to getting you on a video for a long time. It's fun for me that we get to have this conversation now. For those of you guys who are tuning in on Facebook, we are also broadcasting live on Instagram. So you'll see me occasionally look from this camera to that camera. So just be wary of that. So for those of you guys who don't know, a little quick introduction of the Open Heart Collective. I've been on this mission to have open discussions around mental health because this is a subject matter that is not discussed often enough, whether it's in the music industry or whether it's just daily life or in the life of being an entrepreneur. We don't have this conversation often enough, and we sure as hell don't have it live. We don't have it unedited. We don't have it raw. And this is one of those conversations that needs to be raw. So with no further ado, I will let Chryanthe introduce herself, and then we will begin this discussion.
I'm Chryanthe. I am a violinist, composer, singer, songwriter based in LA. I've played in a lot of places. A lot of people are commenting on Instagram saying that they saw me play with Ariana. Because I did her.
Talk about that a little bit, but
okay. Yeah. I was, so a lot of people might remember me from when I was Ariana Grande's violinist on her world tour in 2015, honeymoon tour. And other than that, I have a solo album. I compose a bunch for myself and for others. I write electroacoustic, indie chamber folk stuff that's kind of like Andrew Bird plus Joni Mitchell plus Greek and Cambodian folk tunes. That's how I like to put it.
All of that you just referenced now.
That's perfect. I'm Cambodian and Greek, so my heritage is really important to me, and the music from my people is very ingrained in my system. So a lot of things I do have a kind of folky flavor. And then, of course, I was raised as a classical musician, so that always makes its way in somehow. Right. So just a product of a lot of influences, which I guess a lot of us are. I've also had a lot of my own mental health struggles. I don't know if struggles is the right word. Struggles is the right
situations.
Word. Well, it's situations, but it's also just realities of life.
Yeah.
It's not like a thing that one just, it's not an isolated thing. It's something that kind of is you cope with for a while.
Right. So as with all of these all of these guests that I have, they're going to be far more interesting than I am, and have stories that are far more compelling than my own. So henceforth, why I have them on, because you guys don't want to see me talk all the time. You see enough of that as it is, anyways. But this is in your experience, and because you probably had it from a multitude of different types of experiences where you yourself are contesting with a situation or a circumstance, but you're also being kind of that voice to maybe help and inspire other people. So I'm sure that you've probably had stories shared with you many times in your career, in your impactfulness as a musician, as an artist. And so I don't know, you want to maybe talk a little bit about that? This is one of those forums, guys. This is one of those forums too, everybody watching, where nobody gets judged. These are conversations that need to be this way for a reason. So nobody's judging. Let's talk. Let's have a discussion. So
then right off the bat, let me just say that in the whole not judging thing, I need to do something right now. And that is, my Instagram is playing the sound back a little bit. And one thing I didn't mention in my bio is that I'm autistic, and I'm super sensitive to like when sound is off. I can't even understand or think anything. Like, this is the only thing I can focus on right now. So I'm going to just grab some extra headphones and plug them in.
Okay.
So let's.
Hey,
wow.
Full and open transparency here, guys. Like, that's why I have two sets of headphones as well. So I don't lose focus and lose track, because last week's video was a little bit on the quiet side, or distracted side. Got real. Better?
Life is a lot better right now.
Okay. See, is that a lot better now?
So much better. So much better.
So Instagram, I hope you can still hear us. Honestly, my headphones for Instagram are not out because you guys can't hear, or we can't interact in the same way. So just give us a little thumbs up, thumbs down if the audio gets funky.
That's good.
And we'll go from there. But yes, so back to what I was saying. As a musician, you've gone through a lot. You have a lot of, I'm sure, your own story. But have you also had the experience where you've had fans come to you and say, "You've helped me through this. This has been the conversation." Like, what's that experience been like?
Wow. The short answer is yes, a lot. And on one hand, it's very flattering, of course. Sometimes it's a little bit scary, and okay, because I've received messages from people who have been in various stages of dealing with their struggle. Mm-hmm. So sometimes someone will send me a message saying, you know, your album really helped me through this event. Like, it helped me get to therapy, or it helped me overcome this huge thing. And then sometimes it's like, I'm going through this huge thing, help.
Right.
And then other times it's like in the middle, or it's like talking about really, really tricky stuff that I am not a mental health professional, so that I shouldn't be like the one helping them. You know what it is? So mm-hmm. That happens, I just try my best to refer people, or just really urge that people get help elsewhere from professional sources.
Right.
the thing is, like, music is really, it's a thing that opens people up in ways that they didn't realize they needed to be opened up. So, and when you're dealing with artists, especially when artists are on Instagram and when artists are on social media, Facebook, we're just so accessible, and a lot of us really feel like we're friends with the people who listen to our music or come to our concerts. And it's true. It feels like, sometimes it feels very much like a community, and sometimes it very much feels like almost talking to friends. You know, you start to recognize the same people in comments and messages at a certain point. Like, there are some things I know about my fans. I think they'd maybe be surprised.
Shelby on Instagram says she misses you. But,
I met Shelby.
Awesome. I mean, that's the power that you as a musician have. And another reason why I put the framework around this of musicians is because I spent the last 7 years working with them. I've heard the stories, I've heard the conversations, I've heard the "you saved me when" kind of moments. And for all the musicians who are watching this, who will inevitably see this after the fact, whether it's Instagram or Facebook, I'm going to say this in every video, especially when talking to a musician, because I really want you guys to understand the power that music has. Music is the only art form that can physiologically change a human being. Like, it takes a good day and makes it better, in my opinion. And this is my humble opinion. I see her
like,
doing
that was a bold claim.
Well, I'll have an open conversation with anybody who disagrees, because it can generate an emotion that is so deep and so raw and so real that we oftentimes put music to certain moments in our life as a defining thing. And I like to claim that music can cause time travel. And that is like a really, really compelling thing, because that's the power that you guys have. So every musician who's watching this, understand your power and know that you have the ability to, thank you for tuning in, to connect and change people's lives, which is why music and mental health kind of go hand in hand, and why when we lose people like Chester Bennington or any of the other names that we've lost due to mental health, so I'm not getting into conspiracy theory, but like, that's what we have as far as power. So good job changing.
Well, thank you. I also don't want to give myself too much credit in this, because it's not like, oh, I change people's lives or whatever. I do think it's not just music. I think all art can do that for different people at different times. And it's just, all it really is when a person is ready to receive something, like, it's a two-way street. You know what I mean? It's not like just me as an artist or anyone as an artist. Oh, I'm so powerful that I helped someone or like made someone access this thing. I wouldn't say that it's always, oh, I'm so great. I did this thing. It's really like a two-way street. And that's what I love about playing music, especially now. When I was a kid, I did not realize it was a two-way street. Now I do. And that helps inform what I play and how I perform. Like, it really is, you're feeling the audience, and someone is there to receive it. Like, the person has to be there on the receiving end, giving you something as well. And it might not be something you can hear like music in return, but it's like, it's something you can feel. And yeah, I don't know if that made any sense, but
it resonated with me. I'm just saying. So yeah, I mean, it's a powerful art, as is most art, but this one, because of my closeness to it, I feel is just a little bit powerful than the rest. Have there been those experiences in your life, like where you've had to be that in the moment type of resource for somebody? Like that, because I think that's when it comes to those situations when you get those phone calls or those text messages where you say, I just can't anymore. That generates quite an interesting response in a person. So like has that been an experience that you've had in the past? And if so, would you mind sharing a little bit about it?
Like you're asking if I've ever personally had to talk someone down from the ledge?
Yeah.
And specifically a fan.
Really, I mean, a person in your world. It doesn't
Because
necessarily have to be a fan.
I have from a friend level, yes. And I was an RA in college. So I had a bunch of residents. I lived in an arts dorm. So I would talk to people and like kind of peer counsel like that. But always, the responsible thing to do is, of course, always to be honest about where your own limits are as soon as you've gotten someone kind of off the ledge, so to speak. When it comes to fans, this is very tricky because there's an interesting thing with fan culture that happens, and this is a really, really delicate topic. Because the impact of fans on artists and the impact of artists on fans, like they're different things. They're related and they're both really powerful and big. So let me just put it crudely. If you're getting a million messages from fans that are like, I am dealing with this, I'm dealing with that, can you please do this for me? Can you please send this to that person? Not going to name names, but can you do this favor? Please, all I want is this. And then it's like also mixed in with really genuine stuff. So you do want to keep reading your notifications because like, oh, some of it's like just really great people. And then some of it's just a load of like stuff that you can't deal with, that I can't deal with, that I haven't been able to deal with, or that I don't have in my power to do, or that I don't have spoons. I don't know if you know that term. The mental energy and resources, emotional resources to help someone out with the thing. So it can really bog an artist down if you're getting a lot of, for example, manipulative messages or and so that is a thing. And one of the unfortunate ways people manipulate sometimes is by kind of saying, I'm going to kill myself if I don't get to insert request. Insert request that you're supposed to fulfill. So then what am I supposed to do? You know what I mean? Like that's, I've gotten a lot of really dark messages like that. It's impossible to know what the right answer is. It's impossible to know what to do. It's impossible to know what your responsibility is or to what extent the other person is being serious. If there's not a request tied to something, or even if there is, I keep repeating, I'd always just say, I'm really sorry you're going. I always like to err on the side of believing a person, even if it's a threat, because if someone is going to say something like that, clearly it's coming from a place of deep pain or desperation or something that's making them do that. Because I don't think most people, I like to think most people wouldn't do that just to mess with someone. And I know another thing in the mental health community with people dealing with depression and things like that is one of the number one things is people don't believe them or people downplay them.
Right.
So I trailed off because I don't really know where I was going with that. But, moral of the story is I've been in situations where people didn't believe me. So I want to try to believe other people. But it's not an easy answer when it's people I don't have the energy for or that are seriously impacting my day, or I just don't have time to see everything.
Right. And I don't think there is an easy answer. Let's be a little clear with that. Because mental health is such that it is this big grouping of things all having to do with the health of your mind. There's no one singular answer. There's no right there. I mean, there's wrong. There's a clear delineation to the wrong, but there's no right way. It's just, this is me in the circumstances that I've dealt with in my life, whether it be personal in my own circumstances or having to be kind of that talking off of a ledge for people, is just being there. Whatever that means to whomever is listening. Like, I hope with all of these content, with every single one of these videos, with every single one of these guests, that we're able to really create a culture around this simple, easy premise. And the simple premise is, let's just be better humans. We all can be less judgmental. We all can be less, oh, that's not real, or don't worry about Paul. Paul did this 3 times last week. Like, this is let's just be better. I too have, not to the extent that you've dealt with, in being that you're a musician and you have fans who've come at you for this and probably numerous other stories and reasons that we won't get into for privacy's sake. But like, I can see how it, for somebody who has struggled, I can see how it could be a challenge to try and put that on top of you as well. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, guys, we're all people. One of the things I said in the last episode that, again, I'll resound in all of the other episodes, is that the reason why I do this is because I think, because I've experienced what I've experienced, I'm uniquely built to handle all of this. And so if you guys are struggling, if there is anybody who's watching this that is like, I don't know what to do, I'm at this point, please find me. Or if you know of anybody and you don't know how to take it, either find me or go to somebody who can help. I'll be sharing a bunch of resources following the video, again, for those of you guys who need them. But I think it's just, I wanted to get that in there before the end of the video, because nobody's going to watch it all the way till the end. So
I want to share an article that I go back to every time I'm depressed. It's on Medium. It's called 15 Reasons I Appreciate My Depression, and it's by actually one of my friends, Amanda. I'm just going to put it in the comments here. I think I can chat through here. Let me know.
Instagram?
So
I'll post that up in Instagram as well later.
And I'll post it on Instagram, a story that you can swipe up to. What you said about it being hard when people come at you with mental health struggles, if you have your own mental health struggles, yes. Sometimes no. I mean, yes, it's always hard. But I also think, and this article states it, regarding depression at least, that it, let's see, number 11, personally experiencing the weight of depression makes me a better advocate for mental health justice. So it also makes one, I think if I appreciate things like depression as something that helps humanize my lens and be more understanding of people, then I think that's a trade-off that I'm not going to say it's worth it, but it is one that helps remind me that there is like a positive side to it. And I know when you're depressed, there is no positive side. Like, I'm not saying it'll get better, there's a positive side, but like when you're outside of it and you're kind of looking back at it, you realize that, okay, it impact me, and I'm maybe more empathetic because of it, or maybe I'm experiencing reality a little bit differently now, or maybe I'm appreciating this thing better.
Right.
And when I say was going through it, what I'm referring to like major depressive episodes. So like when I was in a long time ago, I can't remember what grade or year, I was diagnosed with, I don't know, my therapist called it double D. It's depression, major depression and dysthymia. And it's basically was those two things on top of each other. Dysthymia is just like a chronic state of depression where it's just like your daily life. You almost don't notice it because it's just your everyday.
Right.
And then when you have a major psychologists or whatever like to talk about episodes, like a major depressive episode when that's on top of the already sort of chronic reality. So that's what I was dealing with at some point, and wow, I lost my train of thought completely.
You were dealing with your own circumstance, and they diagnosed you with this particular D&D.
Oh, right. So what I'm saying is like getting over depression. I'm not trying to say that it's so easy that like, oh, that was when you had it. I just mean like if you're in an episode versus not in an episode. That's what I meant. I don't mean like, oh, I cured depression. It's all over forever. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't think it ever goes away.
No, but major episodes, you can go in and out of the fog though.
Right.
And
exactly. And I mean, I feel, again, I am not a mental health professional. I guess for those of you guys who are watching this who don't know me, I probably should have given a little bit of context. I've dealt a lot with musicians over the last 7 years in running a record label. And more importantly, I've dealt with a lot of people over the last decade or more who have been dealing with their own demons. And I, for sake of openness and transparency, have dealt with it for the majority of my life. Although for the last 6 to 7 years, I would say I've been not in an episode, not dealing with that negative atmosphere so much. But this is also why I work so much. For those of you guys who do, for those of you guys who do know me, know that I work all the time, to the point where it bothers my wife most days for how long that I work. But I do that because if I sit still, that those thoughts start creeping back. And so for me, this is my therapy. Like going all in on what I do is my therapy, and allows me to be able to have these conversations and know like I'm dealing with the same thing that you guys have dealt with. I just know, because I've spent so much time the last 2 years focusing on self-awareness. I know when that stuff's happening, so I can combat it, but I know a lot of people can't combat it. So it's maybe, I guess everybody's is different, but when you feel like that, or when you felt those kinds of circumstances occurring, what were things that you did maybe early on that really worked for you to kind of help balance the scales a little bit? For me, like I said, it's work. But
I'm definitely not going to pretend like I have fixes for things. But I will say that overwhelmingly the thing that's helped me the most is just going to constant therapy, weekly therapy every week. I also work 24/7, but I don't want to accept that as my reality. I'm sort of like Suzanne. I don't know if Suzanne is still on this. Suzanne at the Rockstar Advocate.
She'll
sort of
be joining me on Friday, by the way.
Awesome. Well, I'm sort of on the Suzanne wavelength of trying to take care of yourself better and have like a well-rounded life. And
she's still here.
Yeah, she's still here. Yeah. So I do work all of the time, but I don't want to glorify that because I am trying to find ways to alleviate that because I do escape into my work as well. And I take on too much, and I am trying to this year build sort of a life I don't have to escape from in the first place.
You hit the nail on the head with that one.
So, carry on working if that works for you, but I'm going to be trying to reduce my hours as much as I can. I mean, it's not going to be a lot, but like, I would really love to be someone who gets 8 hours of sleep a night, and I would be very proud of that if I did. I don't want to be like, I only slept 2 hours, and that's what I did all growing up, is going to high school. I went to bed when the sun rose. Like, no, I'm over that now. I might still do it, but I don't think it's cool that I do that.
Right.
It's not. It's really not.
We have a question.
So,
our buddy Keith. I find I can't get much work done when I'm in a bad headspace, no focus.
Same.
I think you'll get a resounding response that is the exact same. So for you, those of you guys who are watching on Instagram, we added a question, a comment up here. I find I can't get much work done when I'm in a bad headspace, no ability to focus. I agree. And it's something that I struggle with even now. And that's the one thing in my own headspace that I can't seem to combat, because what I refuse to do is I refuse to let that one day or that one circumstance take over that week or that period of time, because then what happens is it becomes a cycle of like negative self-abuse, and I can't go down that pathway.
I wish I had that self-awareness when I'm going through that, because when I'm going through that, I will let it take over. No, I will let it take over my week. Because I can't, when it's a really, I mean, I try not to, of course. We all try not to. But depending on my mental health that week, depending on other things that are going on, what my anxiety levels are, sometimes I can't help the spiral and I just have to go through it. And this is why, this is very specific, most of all, I think, to independent artists and like solo entrepreneurs and like people that work for themselves and don't have
by themselves,
or you're your own boss,
right? And
or you're a freelancer and you're not getting maybe a steady payback with benefits, sick days, and like things like that. Like in my world, there are no sick days. There's no vacation days. There's no benefits. It's just me. And if I'm not working, no one is still compensating me.
Right.
So that adds a huge level of anxiety if you don't frame it and if you don't somehow set your life up and prepare yourself in advance for those days. And that is something that I'm trying to get better at. I used to be horrible at it. Like basically I'd have all these things on my to-do list, way too much. I'd have so much that I had to get done that week, just way too ambitious. And then what happens if depression hits and I can't get out of bed, then I'm derailed in a way that I can't recover from. And then it just adds so much more stress because I'm like, if I don't put out this song, if I don't, send this thing off, if I don't, finish this job for this, recording client, or if I don't go to the studio if I don't do the things, I can't imagine that anyone would have my back. This is in my head. I feel like the world is going to crumble if I have to take care of myself, if I have this thing or whatnot. And so that's why I think it's important for us in this position to know in advance, okay, these things can and will happen. It's not even an if for some of us. These things happen. Like if you know that you deal with mental health issues, or you know that you're prone to anxiety or depression or complete derailment like that, you have to plan that it's just going to happen. And then when it happens, have mechanisms in place that allow you to recover. So one thing, again, a Sue's shout out, who's really into like great calendar management and just kind of smart planning. It just, you have to know that the world isn't going to crumble. And for some of us, it's not true. Sometimes the world will kind of crumble, or our job will crumble, but you have to, I now I'm trailing off because this is the part where I'm like, I'm trying to get better at it this year, where, like if I'm working according to really nice time blocks, or, right. I know on Mondays I do all this stuff, on Tuesdays I do all this stuff, on Wednesdays I'm going to do this. And then if I have to be completely out for a day, like basically a sick day, a mental health day,
or I have to know
it's all right. Yeah, exactly. A car broken down day. That was me last night. Have to know that, okay, there will be another time to do this. I'm going to postpone this one thing a week. I'm not even going to try to pick it up tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll just pick up the next thing. But not all of us have that mechanism in place yet. And less organized I am personally, I have to be organized or I can't really function. And I am unsettled, and it makes me depressed too. So for me, what helps my mental health is having things nicely organized and laid out and ready. It's kind of like how some people pack their bags or put out their clothes the night before, that type of thing. Like I need to have that so that I can feel more steady. Some people that doesn't apply. My best friend kind of flies spontaneously. I can't do that. Know thyself.
I mean, I agree. Everything you said was just, especially towards musicians and solo entrepreneurs, like this thing that we take on because we have to wear 27,000 different hats when we don't have the other 26,999 people to wear the hats with us. Like it's a lot of pressure. And I think we all put ourselves under so much large amount of pressure that we force ourselves to conform to our own high level of expectations. And when we fail, when we don't get those 6 things done on the to-do list that we had and we only get 3 done, we're focusing so much on the other 3 we didn't do rather than the 3 we got accomplished. And I've started sincerely taking organization into effect for me, because I have multiple responsibilities. I do consulting. I have the music company. I'm part of the nonprofit that my label's sitting underneath now. I've got an agency, and I'm a dad and a husband. So everything in my calendar is color coded. And I've started changing how I look at things like to-do lists and changing it to verbiage that makes sense in my head, because I don't like to do. That doesn't that. It's like saying record contract to a musician. It makes her you get that little itchiness in the back, like from your grinding your teeth. It's that kind of feeling for me, because I don't want a list to tell me what I have to do. I want to be able to control my list. So for those of you guys who know me, I tend to curse a lot. So I've changed my to-do list to my get shit done list. And since then, I actually keep it. And I've been successful at keeping it. And now I also let it go if I don't get it done and it has to get done the next day. Because at the end of the day, Like, I have 24 hours. And there are certain times and certain things that take precedent over work. So to all of you solo entrepreneurs out there and you artists out there, like, give yourself a little bit of a break, because that is only going to compound and add onto the stress that you already have to deal with on a daily basis. Because this guys, ladies, gentlemen, this life that we've chosen is not easy. It's not meant for everyone. In fact, Chryanthe, I think you might have heard me make this reference in another video. Like, musicians can do something, and again, another bold claim on my part. And I fidget with things. So, like, you'll randomly see me with, like, Sharpies or dry erase markers, as this one is. And, like, but musicians can do something that 95% of the world can't, chooses not to, or is too afraid to do. Because, I mean, look at the piece, being a musician.
Oh.
Like, the simple act of, whether professional or on an amateur level, but somebody who's trying to make this a career, accounts for less than 5% of the world's population.
Does it?
It's probably conservative, aggressive data point. I haven't found verifiable evidence of that yet, but it's a number that makes sense knowing the amount of musicians that are in the world versus the size of the world.
Mm. Yeah.
So, like, I that could be an aggressive comment, that could be a conservative one. I say it's between 90 and 95% that aren't, just choose not to, because being a lawyer is easier.
choose not to pursue it professionally.
Yeah. Because, I mean, and I'm sure that you encounter this in your day-to-day life, and I know I encounter it in mine. I'll go and I'll meet with my accountant. My accountant plays drums in the band in the church in the weekend. Like, or the lawyer who plays in a cover band on Friday and Saturday nights because he needs a release from his day-to-day. Like, there are people who dabble with it, but the actual people who want to make this a profession accounts for not much of the world. But yet, it's that demographic that has the ability to change the world and do it very rapidly. So
true. Although people who are not professionals also have that ability.
Agreed. I just, again, I like to give a little bit of love to musicians because honestly, I think musicians for so long, because of all of the negative stigma, because of all of the stuff that's happened in the recording industry over the last 50, 60 years, just get jaded, and like, your guys' power has been taken from you. And guys, this is coming from somebody who runs a record label. Like, I understand where you're at, but I also know the power that you have, and it's my job to find ways to give you guys back the power, because you are all amazing. I am envious of your ability, and I think if I could sing, I would be the biggest rock star in the world. But we don't want to hear that. Like, that's something we don't want to go down that pipeline. But yeah, so we've got about 15 minutes left. Is there anything you want to, like, talk about as we kind of get ready to wrap this up?
Well, I'm curious, and I know a lot of most people will just be watching the replay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious what point of view people watching this come from. Musicians, non-musicians, recreational, professional, freelance. The thing is, okay, when you think that you're coming from a record label perspective, when you think of musicians, you are thinking of artists that will, like recording artists, is mainly what you are thinking of.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, that's part of what it is that I do, but I'm also a graphic designer. I also am working in the agency space. I'm also a resource to a lot of musicians. So I'm doing it more from the I see musicians more as people, and everybody in my organization are people that like I hold them in higher regard than even myself, because again, you guys can do something that I can't. Not that I can't, that I'm just not able to. And therefore I want to give you guys, give musicians the respect that is deserved, and all musicians, whether it's a recording artist or otherwise. I mean, we deal in the classical space a little bit, and we're expanding out, and worked in spoken word and varying genres. And I just get so compelled with just people.
Designer
regardless of what they do.
Broderick is here. Designer social media.
Brody.
Right. So, Brody. Sorry. I think
that's what he calls
musicians
himself
have
on Instagram.
so much in common with. I don't necessarily see it as musician versus non-musician, or even
I think it's just
versus not. But I see it as creators. Creators is how I see it. And that I think that could also applies to designers like Brody. People creating something for themselves. Because what is music? Okay, what is music? What is the point of music? What is the point of being a musician? It is to, for me at least, to authentically share something I have, something inside of me that with no bullshit, to authentically share something with other people and connect and communicate and basically like have that extremely human, real connection, and to be vulnerable doing it. Now, I think if you are doing it with some other medium, that's totally cool. That's like almost the same thing. There's also a group of listeners or fans or supporters that may kind of live through those musicians' talents. Some of us were not blessed with those gifts. However, we all have different talents. Exactly. We all have different talents. And so I think anyone who's authentically like doing something, whether you're a writer or you're just like being a super real person and connecting with other people. It's not about talent or skill. I think most people end up, as they grow up, depending on what their jobs are or interests, end up specializing in like a few things, or end up becoming really good at something. It could be music, it could be writing, it could be graphic, like only listing artistic things, but it could be, why can I just only think of, it could be accounting, like something, if you're doing something where you're putting yourself into it authentically, you're not just being like, no, I'm just doing this for the hell of it. Or
doing it for the paycheck.
Or just doing it for the paycheck, or just doing it because I don't know what else to do, or just doing it because it's easy and whatever, I'm here. I think all those other boundaries don't matter as much. I feel connected to anyone who is also in the space of authentically creating, authentically doing, and connecting with other people through that thing.
Right.
And I think that is where the like switch is flipped in terms of mental health for me, and making it come around, rather than thinking like I am a professional musician in spite of having mental health demons. It's more like, well, as a musician, as an artist, why is my live video paused? Okay. I'm here. Nope, I'm here. Okay, whatever. As a damn it. As an artist, I'm a real person, and being a real person includes all these other things, includes the mental health demons. So here's me. And I'm dealing with all of it at the same time. So, if you can do that, in whatever you're putting forth in the world, then you're doing the same thing as me.
Right.
Money has nothing to do with it, but also making ends meet in the system of things is a real thing. Balance is key. Yes, I was going to say, because that's why I hesitated to say just for the paycheck, because that is a real thing. Like musicians do it too. I do it too. I take a gig just for the paycheck. If I, to carry on art projects.
I can 3 days a week on a contract because it pays the bills while I build all of this.
Right. So when I'm making something for that's not necessarily me connected with. If I'm doing a gig that I know I'm gonna hate, but I do need the money, that is not what I'm saying in terms of here's me. It's not that thing. It's not that thing at all.
Right. That's
more like, okay, I'm putting my skill to use. Like I'm gonna go accounting or whatever other skill people do. Yeah, I don't mean to harp on accountants. That was the first example that came to my mind.
Well, it's tax time, so I get it.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. I don't know why my video on Instagram stopped.
Oh, it's weird. You're on my end.
Oh, you are? Oh, great. That's fine. I don't need to myself.
But I originally, when this all was being developed, I was having these conversations with musicians and entrepreneurs because that particular segment of the world doesn't have this conversation often enough. But when I changed it to the Open Heart Collective, I don't want this to be just musicians, just entrepreneurs. Like Brody, who's going to be joining me on Thursday, is, as he says, he's a designer, a little bit of an influencer, but he's got a myriad of other talents and skills that are incredible. And everybody watching this has something that they do that they're amazing at or they love to do. So that let's have conversations we can all do what we love. And for me, it's connecting and building relationships with people, regardless of what hat I happen to be wearing when I have that conversation or build that relationship. So my goal is to make other people's lives better. And however I can do that and however I'm able to do that, I'm going to until somebody tells me I can't do it anymore, and then I'm going to keep going. And then my health is going to get in the way. And then I'm going to say, well, screw that. And then I'm going to inevitably stand at whatever gates to whatever afterlife, if there is one, and say, all right, it's not my time yet. I've got more work to do. Send me back. I don't know. I try to not go the whole religious angle very much, but I think we all have something that we believe in, something that pushes us. But for me, it's just the knowing that I can, hopefully in these conversations, we touch at least one person and they reach out and they get the help that they need. That's the goal for these. Plus I get to talk to really cool people. So
I keep thinking about Oakland Terminal's comment. I just want to address it one more time, if that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oakland Terminal says balance is key. Regarding money is a real thing. Love it and don't water the talent down. Rather refine it through those experiences. And I kind of didn't read all the way to the end before because I was focusing on the top. But I think what they said in the last two sentences is really important, especially rather refine it through those experiences. And I think that's also about having like an artistic, a creative mindset. And because when we do these things that are just for the paycheck, like, a gig, for example, whatever. If there's a way that you can fit it into the greater context of your life, then I think it totally still works out. Like if you're not doing your meaning through your profession or through your particular job, I think that is okay.
Agreed.
I'm also hearkening. Hey, it's like the fifth shout out to Suzanne. Her podcast, what's it called? What's it called? What's her podcast? I listened to it. The Mindset. Wait, crap. Okay, well, this is embarrassing because I listened to this podcast.
You know what? To give a shout out to Suze,
Musicpreneur Mindset Podcasts. Okay,
there
that's
you go. But I'm still going to link it in the comments here on Facebook. So
has an episode called "Don't Hate Your Day Job," or it's either called "Don't Quit Your Day Job" or "You Don't Have to Hate Your Day Job" or something. And I think
she quit her day job 5 times, didn't she?
Right. Yes, that was episode 1. But then a later one was like something about your day job and how you can like work the angles of something. You know, the one quote that I love is, if you can't get out of something, get into it. And that's something I think of all the time, is like, okay, how am I going to flip this? Like, this was me last night when I was stranded for 5 hours with my dead battery at a gas station. It sucked, but I was like, oh my gosh, I can't get out of this. I need to lean into it somehow. This is like really awful. This is awful. And I think it's almost a similar thing to what Oakland Terminal was saying. Like, refine your art, your purpose, your authentic place that you communicate with, that you self-care with. Refine that through those other experiences. And that is something that helps me too. That is something that helps me. I asked for a tip earlier. That is a tip.
Awesome. Well, Chryanthe, thank you for joining me. I always feel like in a very good space after having one of these conversations. So thank you. I don't know, being that I feed on energy, it's when you get on in a conversation with somebody who has a similar energy and wavelength, or complementary energy and wavelength, it's compelling. Anyways, thank you. Where can, for those of people who don't know of you, or those you guys, those ladies and gentlemen who watch after,
these gentlemen and non-binary folks.
Yep, all humans. Where can we find you?
I'm at Chryanthe Tan on every single platform in the entire world. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. There's tons of YouTube. Yes, even Patreon.
Support on Patreon. You're close to hitting a goal, aren't you?
I hit my goal of 121 patrons, and my next one is 150 patrons, which I'm 24 away from.
All right, everybody, go and support. If you're not supporting, go support the Patreon. If you
like my music. If you don't like my music, don't worry about it. It's only for people who like my music. I'm not going to tell you to sign up for something you don't necessarily like. But you can feel free. If you don't know my music, you can feel free to follow me on the other places, or stream all my music for free on Spotify. I don't mind when people stream. Go ahead. You can stream all my music. I'm telling someone who works at a record label, he's probably like, shh.
No, hey, I'm all about the streaming.
Okay, great. Me too.
See, this is where my creative play is. I really don't care about that stuff. I want to help build brands.
Yeah.
So
I don't make money off of downloads. It's like pocket change.
I'll distribute music all day long, but I want to know and develop story and all that kind of stuff. But
I don't need exactly.
To those of you guys who are to those of you all who are watching on Instagram, as we have 66 seconds left on this video before Instagram kicks us out because we're taking too long and their filters don't allow us to. Thank you for tuning in. This broadcast will only sit in my stories for the next 24 hours, but we'll be on Facebook in perpetuity. And then next week, I'm going to be adding all of these videos to YouTube. So I'm ending Instagram.
Bye. Find you on Facebook.
What's that?
Philip Ryan Block on Facebook. For those of Instagram people who joined through my Instagram.
So Philip Ryan Block on Instagram, on Facebook. Search that on YouTube. You'll learn about all that I do, and I have a vlog now that has 160 plus episodes and all that fun stuff.
I have a music podcast. I have a new podcast. You can subscribe to _podcast. That's another free thing you can do.
Awesome.
Anyway, you have 10 seconds left. Someone is here from Cambodia.
Via Instagram. All right. So Facebook. Oh man. Thank you again, Chryanthe, for joining me. Um, I don't know, just thank you. I know it was kind of spur of the moment crazy. It was a long day yesterday and all that, but I truly value you and thank you again for this. And to everybody who's watching, if you are struggling, this is my one request. If for those of you who know me, I don't ask for much of anything ever, but I ask for this. So if you are struggling, please find help. Reach out to me if you don't want to reach out to anybody else. I know there's a lot of people who have things that they're dealing with that they don't know how to deal with. Reach out, and if it's not me, please find somebody. In the comments on this video, I will link in all the information for both US as well as UK support lines for you guys to check out, or for everybody to check out, because I know we'll get some overseas viewers on this this video. Thank you, and we'll see you guys see you all on Wednesday. So special Instagram live on Wednesday, which is tomorrow, and then another session on Thursday with Brody Whitlock, and then on Friday morning with Suzanne. So yeah, see everybody in the next one.
Bye.